Good morning, my name is Catherine, and for those of you who don't know me, I'm in my robe this morning. Feeling super confident. On a side note, I'm in my robe, so that means I'm being totally serious. I didn't take time to put on some fancy clothes or look good because I'm just feeling anxious this morning, to be totally honest, but I felt like, you know what, skip the outfit, skip all that, just say how you feel. So a couple weeks ago I made a video just talking about how I feel, trying to organize some ideas because I was trying to come up with a plan for businesses and people basically in my state to come up with a way that if they needed some sort of plan B, in the sense that the CDC or the government doesn't provide them with what they need to know in order to shut down their business, that they'd have a backup plan, meaning like they'd have a way of contact. Anyway, you can watch that video if you want to go look. I'm known for sharing my ideas if you've never seen my videos. So anyway, I woke up this morning and I was typing a post and I was like, you know what? Some people don't want to read a novel. I'm really good at writing novels, so I'm gonna just speak it, and if you have 5 minutes, you're gonna want to listen to what I have to say. Don't have to, but if we get that far, then no problem. Anyway, I wrote a post about what's going on in the nation, how I feel about it, and I thought this would be something to share because I haven't seen anyone else say this or think this out loud, and this is not the time to keep thoughts to yourself. This is the time to get people thinking, at least trying to understand what's going on in the nation right now. So I'm just gonna read it and then post it like I did last time. Never mind, I'm just gonna read it. I said, I think it matters that I'm willing to say how I feel. I think everyone should feel comfortable saying how they feel. I don't believe the nation as a whole wants a civil war or to fight with each other. I believe that there are representatives in the Democratic and Republican Party and people in control of the media and news outlets that are deliberately controlling the way the news is presented to our people to fit their agenda and to divide our nation. Picking and choosing wording to misinform readers, and all sorts of mental tricks that regular people aren't noticing. I believe that for every protest we've seen, for instance with Black Lives Matter and the one at the Capitol, that there were people involved who weren't actual members and supportive of the group they were in, but people who were there to deliberately cause damage and invite violence. When is the last time you wanted to talk to your boss about something and thought, you know what will get his attention, get him to listen to me if I cause havoc and get crazy? Burn something, break a window, that'll get me what I want. In parentheses I wrote, crazy people think that way and abusive people think that way. Then I said, I thought about it, and if nobody got a scratch and no damage was done, what real crime would these groups have committed? They would have been just a group of suppressed voices coming together, in parentheses, whoever is trying to divide the nation doesn't like peace. These people, in parentheses, pick your protest, would have been people who got sick of the way they were not being heard and being treated and said, let's all stand here until people start to listen. So as long as somebody got hurt and property was ruined, a political party benefited. Those were opportunities to respond to the said crisis. Whichever party responds the best would get voted for. And who else to benefit if there was damage and people got hurt? The media. Free show, more money in their pockets. 2020 was an election year. It's not a coincidence all that has happened. With all the protests going wrong and unsuccessful, the wrong people in Congress will try to say that all protests eventually be prohibited. That is where all this chaos is headed. Free speech, among other rights, are slowly being attacked in our country. If they can show the majority, the people watching from home, that every protest gets out of control isn't an act of domestic terrorism, then it is a reason to argue no more protests. When people won't be able to physically protest, they will use their words. What happens when media platforms censor people? If you believe that certain members of our government are actively creating or looking for opportunities to discredit and silence people against the government's actions, you might need to reconsider. I believe that members of our Congress are in part of attempting to destabilize the United States. That is a bold and very strong feeling that I have, that I'm scared to share with people, because you can't just go out into the world and say, you know what, I don't trust my government. You know what? I don't trust people. But the truth is, I don't. I have never ever felt like people, not all people, I'm not going to say everybody who's in Congress, I'm going to say certain people. There are certain people who have been put in positions that are not working in the best interests of the people. I have never felt like the government as a whole is here to help the middle and lower class people. And right now, there are people who are sick and dying, and people who can't afford health care, and people who can't afford to take care of their families. And there are a million things going on, and I'll get angry about it. But I've never felt like the government is looking out for the best interest of the entirety of the nation. They're benefiting from people who can fund them the most. And the only people who can afford to fund the government and everything that's been going on are usually the 1%. Now, I don't know a lot about politics. I don't know a lot about the whole structure. But what I do believe is that there are good and bad people involved. The only thing is that we don't know about the good people because the media doesn't talk about them. The media isn't focusing on all the positive things that are happening lately. They're focusing on all the negative things because they want people to fight. They want people to get angry with each other. They want me to call people stupid and tell people that I don't agree with that they're morons. And that's not true. I don't think people that disagree with me are ignorant or morons or retards or whatever words that try to hurt other people. I think people who don't agree with me should have a conversation with me so I can understand them better. People aren't inviting that because they don't want people to come together to think or communicate. In the media and people in control, as long as they have people fighting, then we're never going to solve these problems. We're never going to get to the bottom of anything that's going on wrong in this country. And I'm sorry that I'm 24 years old and it sounds like a bunch of crap coming from a kid, but I'm scared. I have a 5-year-old daughter. I don't know what's going to happen in the next 20 years, but I'm trying to inform people to think critically and look at what they're reading and look at multiple sources so they understand that maybe whatever you believe in, maybe if you're on one side or the other of the political team, that you're not, everything that's being shown to you is because you're being targeted. You're not being asked to critically think. I got a little passionate there. I got a little bit, speaking for myself, not reading from my phone, but at least you know why I'm taking the time to get on my camera and at least say how I feel. Because right now, nobody's talking about it. Everyone's scared to lose family members. Everyone's scared to lose friends. And I'm scared that there's just going to be more divide. But the only reason or the only way I can prevent that from happening is if I use my own voice and tell people that I care about. Use your voice. Tell me how you feel. Talk to me in private. Message me. Message your friends. You don't have to be scared of me if you don't agree with me or if you do agree with me. And there are people out there who aren't going to fight with you or belittle you or degrade you depending on what your view is. You are allowed to have an opinion. You are allowed to freely speak. And yes, you are scared that you are going to be rejected when you use your own voice, but there are people who are going to be here to support you and listen to you. And not everyone is a crazy whack job, and the world isn't filled with a bunch of crazies. There are some good people out there and some patient people and people who want to see the world turn around. So that's my passionate speech of the day. I think I'm done with my rant, so last thing I'm gonna say is don't be scared to be yourself today.